All right. Well, Sunday at Otakon, how has it been for you?
It's been awesome. This is my first time to Otakon. It's been a con I've always wanted to come to.
Okay.
But yeah, the people are so sweet and just really, receiving everything so well, and it's just great to be here. And that's one of my favorite things, is to go to cons,
right,
because we work in a little booth by ourselves and we really get to see, how our work has inspired or touched people through the feedback at cons. So,
well, so you go to, I guess, a lot of conventions over the years.
Yeah.
What is that sort of experience like, to be sort of the guest at a convention?
It's great. You always get treated so wonderfully. They fly you in and, take care of everything. But it's like I said, the best part is that we get to, share this experience with the fans.
Right.
Yeah. So the premiere of, one of the shows we're working on, or just share our life story and how we got started in this business. And there's so many people that want to know how, that they could get started in it. And
right,
so it's, it's a sharing and, just a great experience.
Awesome. Now, you've done basically as much video game work as you've done anime and other animation. So I'm curious as to what the video game voice acting experience is like, sort of compared to voicing anime.
Okay, well, it's a little different because in video games, there isn't really a story. Like, you'll get a script. Sometimes they'll have little vignettes, and we'll get to record those, like kind of mini movies. But then there's a lot of efforts and yells and, hits and in your character. And, you can die like 20 ways. So that's what's different. And we usually do a lot of loops in a session. Like, sometimes you could do 400 loops, and,
wow,
they're very fast. They have to fit in a time window. So that's the difference. In, in anime, we go in, both ways we have to rely on the director to know exactly where we are in the story, because they may, record one section and then fast forward to the next, 3 episodes later.
Right.
So we only record those parts of the story. Whereas in mainstream animation, we record all the audio and they animate to us. So we're actually theater style.
Right.
We're actually talking to each other,
as opposed to being isolated in a little booth by yourself.
I tell people I work in a padded room and there's voices in my head. Guess what I do? They're like, wait a minute.
Yeah. Now, obviously, the biggest thing you've worked on recently is the redub of the original Sailor Moon, and then
Yes.
Sailor Moon Crystal as Chibiusa, Small Lady, and then Black Lady as well.
Yes.
What was it like to sort of, I guess, between Small Lady and Black Lady, obviously there's going to be different inflections because she's much older.
Yeah.
How do you go about sort of maturing a voice but still retaining sort of the base,
the quality
voice? Yeah.
of her? That's the actor's role.
Okay.
Like, in the storyline, Chibiusa is kind of overcome by these negative, emotions,
right,
that, brainwashing from Wiseman.
Right.
So yeah, I'm in the story when I'm doing that, and I'm pitching my voice differently, but I'm feeling all those things that Black Lady's feeling, and where in my life do I relate to that?
Right.
Self-doubt, and it's my fault, and all those things that we all go through, those negative emotions and thoughts. And so yeah, I just tap into that actor part to go into her.
Awesome.
And in my first audition, when I auditioned for Chibiusa and Black Lady, they actually sent it back and they said, oh, she's too dark, she's too
wow,
wicked. And I was like, good on me. When have I ever been too wicked?
Right.
So it was a little older. I just did her too old.
Okay.
So yeah, so I had to bring her down, and they were very careful with Black Lady.
Okay.
I had a lot of interaction with the main office, and they just wanted, everything to be right. In this series, they are very careful, and we'll get notes, back in the recording. Can you kind of redo this a little bit? And so it's really great. I think it's an amazing series.
I mean, obviously it's been such a part of American pop culture for like the last 20 years. I feel like I grew up watching Sailor Moon as much as I was watching like Batman on Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So was that sort of like daunting? Like once you got the part, was it just sort of like, oh no, I have to like absolutely nail it? Like
Yeah, it was, but in a way, I'm a little older, so I didn't grow up with it.
Okay.
I didn't have that preconceived, oh my God, I know how big the scope of Sailor Moon and how many people it's touched. I tell people it's like the Star Wars of anime. I mean, how many people the story has touched, and the masses of people that follow it.
Right.
And I did listen to a little bit for the audition, but then I didn't even want to listen to the 90s. I didn't want to go back and I wanted to bring my own essence and just really who is Chibiusa and what is she going through and what is her journey and how can I breathe life into that, and I didn't worry too much about I was hopeful. I hope I'm doing her justice, but I just really got into her character, and I discovered the story through her, and I think that's what helped me keep that purity and childlike wonder, even though she's 900 or more years old.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, and we have an amazing director.
Okay.
Yeah, Susie Goldish is amazing.
Awesome.
She just wrangles us in, and she really works with us on the show. So I have to give credit to our directors in anime. They know the story, and they know how to guide you through the story and how to really get the acting out that you're in the room talking to each other even when you're not.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, as one of the most recognizable anime characters of the 90s, I mean, I have to ask, at what point, as someone who wasn't super into it, did you show up to a convention and are like, oh my god, there are all of these cosplayers here in Sailor Fuku's? At what point did it sort of hit you that you were really part of something huge?
Well, that hit me a long time ago,
Okay.
because one of the things I did know about Sailor Moon was how big it was in cosplay, and I was always like, oh, look how magical. I loved, that was my favorite, cosplay when I would go to conventions. And so, but really what hit me was the first day recording.
Okay.
I mean, just getting chills when she comes in and just says those first lines with the guns. And then also the very first Sailor Moon day that they had, I believe it was, the first one I was a part of was at Anime Expo.
Right.
Yeah, so that was just the scope of what
Just
you're doing.
the sea of cosplayers that were there.
But just the scope of how this project, people coming through the autograph line, little 6-year-old girls and their 60-year-old grandmas.
Right.
And they're like, I want to share this with her. This was a big part of my life. And that to me just speaks to the power of Sailor Moon and the stories, right? Those soul primal archetypal stories that reach us on a level that not a lot of stories reach us on.
Right.
Yeah, so.
And I guess my last question would be if there's anything sort of coming down the pipeline that you can maybe legally tell us about.
Oh, yeah. Well, much, much more Sailor Moon.
Yes.
Just started Crystal.
Right.
So we haven't even dove into the whole
Right.
Chibiusa Crystal journey yet.
I mean, that just ended in Japan, so.
Oh, yeah. So that's really exciting. And then also Aldnoah Zero.
Right.
Adele Rizzo. So, yeah.
Excellent.
So she's a great role.
Cool.
Yeah.
So a lot of cool stuff coming. Thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks for being here. Bye.